For 20 years, Elias Boone tried to live like his ghosts never existed. Folks in the Montana plains knew him as the quiet rancher who fixed fences and kept to himself. But the few who remembered whispered about the man he used to be, a marksman who could take a life before you even saw him raise the gun. He'd buried that part of himself the day his daughter was born. Built a house, married a woman who could laugh the dust out of any room. But when she passed one cold winter, silence settled in deeper than snow. His world shrank to chores, prayer, and the sound of wind scraping the windows. Then came Clara's letter. Ink faded, but words warm. She missed him. She wanted him to visit before the snow fell again. So he saddled his old horse, packed light, and rode east toward Red Hollow. 3 days on the open trail, and the past began to whisper again. The desert has a way of reminding a man what he's done. Each mile felt heavier than the one before. By the time he reached the river bend at dusk, Elias had almost forgotten why he feared quiet places, until he saw her lying there in the mud. She was young, barefoot and covered in bruises, her skin pale against the dying light. At first, Elias thought she was gone. Then she stirred, her cracked lips trembling. "I can't hold on anymore," she whispered. "Please, I'd make it quick." He froze. Those words carried the kind of surrender that once haunted his sleep. Slowly, he knelt, wrapped his coat around her shoulders, and gave her water. "Who did this to you?" he asked. She didn't answer, only stared at the river like she wished it would carry her away. Rope burns lined her wrists, fresh, deep, and cruel. Elias felt something inside him shift. The old instincts he'd spent years trying to bury were waking up. As the moon climbed, Elias realized saving her might mean becoming the man he swore he'd never be again. At sunrise, she told him her name was Nora. She barely spoke after that, just followed his lead as they rode toward Red Hollow. Elias hoped to see Clara's porch light glowing in the distance, but when they arrived, the town felt wrong. Too still, too cold. The smell hit first. Smoke and iron. His daughter's door stood open, the curtains ripped, dishes shattered on the floor. He called her name into the silence, but the only answer came from the flies. Her husband lay face down near the table, blood pooling under his head. Elias went still, the sound of his breath the only thing left in the room. Behind him, Nora whispered, "That's them. The men from the place I ran from. They must have taken her." Elias stared at the floor, jaw tight, eyes hollow. Then he lifted a loose board and pulled out a bundle wrapped in oiled cloth, his old rifle. The one he swore never to touch again. When he looked up, there was no trace of the quiet rancher anymore. Only the ghost that had finally come home to finish something. They rode through the night following the faint trail of smoke and laughter. The brothel stood on the edge of town, lanterns swinging, dogs barking, men's laughter spilling into the dirt. Nora pointed. "That's where they keep the girls." Elias studied the guards, the lights, the movement of shadows. He moved like a man measuring distances he already knew by heart. When the saloon music swelled, he slipped forward, silent and sure. The first guard went down without a sound. The second hit the ground before his drink did. Inside, the air stank of whiskey and sweat. Elias's muscles burned with the effort. 20 years without a fight had left their mark. Nora followed close, her hands shaking but steady enough when it mattered. They found Clara's ribbon nailed to a post outside the stable. He didn't speak. Didn't have to. Inside that house, his daughter was waiting, and so was every sin he'd ever buried. The hallway creaked under their boots. Laughter echoed from a back room, 3 men playing cards. Elias raised his rifle and ended 2 of them before they could blink. Nora took the last one at gunpoint, her voice trembling but fierce. "Where's the girl you brought in last week?" "Upstairs," he spat. Elias was gone before the man hit the ground. The lock on the third door gave way with a single shot. Clara sat on the floor, wrists bound, eyes wide and shining through dirt and tears. "Daddy?" He dropped the rifle, cut her loose, and pulled her close. For a moment, everything was still, until a voice behind him broke it. "Well now," a man drawled. "Ain't this touching?" The brothel owner stood in the doorway, pistol raised, smile twisted. Elias turned, calm and cold. 2 shots cracked the air. One missed, one didn't. Then the lantern hit the floor. Fire raced up the curtains. Clara screamed. Elias grabbed her hand and ran, but behind them the fire wasn't the only thing rising. Hoofbeats thundered in the dark. By dawn, the house was gone, nothing left but smoke curling into the sky. Clara sat wrapped in a blanket beside Nora and the other rescued girls. Elias stood by the fence, rifle heavy at his side, eyes fixed on the ashes. For a long while, no one spoke. Then Clara asked softly, "How did you find me?" "I didn't," he said. "I just followed what hurt." Nora smiled faintly. "You saved us." He shook his head. "No, I just stopped running." The sun rose over the blackened field, painting the river red. The ghosts were quiet now, maybe not gone, but still. Elias finally breathed without shaking. Sometimes a man doesn't find redemption in forgiveness, but in choosing to face the things he's spent a lifetime trying to forget.